We are introduced to over 1,000 characters in One Piece. That's over one character per episode. So it makes sense that some characters would be forgotten, including the Straw Hats. Well, in today's video, I'm here to break down and talk about the forgotten Straw Hat. But before we get into the video, make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe, and make sure you guys watch to the end. As we know, there are currently 10 Straw Hats, and throughout One Piece, it seems like each of them get their shine throughout the show, except for one character. And yes, that's Frankie. Frankie is a very crucial member to the Straw Hats. He's the shipwright. He's the guy that fixes the ship when it breaks down. But it seems like ever since his backstory and ever since we were introduced to him, it seems like they put him on the back burner and we haven't seen much of Frankie since, especially after the time skip. Excluding Brook and Jinbei, since they were the last two to join the crew, we only see Frankie throughout the entire One Piece only 293 times. If we're comparing that to the top 3 Straw Hats, which is Luffy, Zoro, and Nami, they almost double Frankie in stats. And why is that? Since Frankie is the shipwright and he's one of the most important characters in the crew, you would think he would get more love and more shine. Well, that's just not the case, and I came up with 2 reasons why. The first reason being, he's the shipwright. The second reason being because there's just too many characters in One Piece. Since Frankie is the shipwright, it does make sense that we only see him when something's wrong with the ship or if he added something new to the ship. But that just doesn't sit right with me. Frankie was one of my favorite Straw Hats when we were introduced to him. I really loved his backstory and it was really compelling, and I felt like he had a real purpose to be on this ship. But it seems like post-time skip, he just got done dirty, got swept under the rug, and they gave him a horrible design. Ever since the time skip, Frankie just got turned into a comedic relief character. He got put into the same category as Chopper and Usopp. The only time we see him is when he's being funny or when he's showing off a new funny design that he has. And I don't really like that because we already have too many comedic reliefs within the crew. For example, Usopp's the biggest comedic relief throughout the entire show. Chopper, they turn him into more of a comedic relief post time skip, and that just sat right with me because, you know, he's a kid. But Frankie, I didn't really like that. I used to like the serious Frankie. I wanted the Frankie we used to get back in Water 7, back in Impel Down, the more serious, more down-to-earth Frankie. And when it's time to get down, he gets down. But now it's like when he fights, it just gets turned into a joke. For example, the fight Frankie had with Senior Pink was just a complete joke. And I know people are going to say, well, Senior Pink is not a serious character, he's just a joke character. Well, I don't know why that just did not sit right with me at all. I just did not like that fight at all. When I was watching that fight, I fell more in love with Senior Pink than I did Frankie. As I'm watching that fight, I was realizing that, man, I don't really like Frankie the way I used to. Senior Pink is more of a compelling and strong character to his backstory. It's like Frankie just turned into like a funny cyborg now. The only time we see him is when he's just showing off his new funny tricks, his new funny moves that he has, and his new funny sayings that he says. We even see the Straw Hats power up and get new abilities post time skip. But for some reason, it seems like Frankie's the only Straw Hat that doesn't level up post time skip. When I saw Frankie when he got introduced back to us in Sabaody, it seems like he stayed the same throughout the entire time skip. He doesn't level up, he doesn't learn no new moves, he doesn't do nothing. The most he might do is add a new machine gun onto his body, but we got people like Zoro learning Conqueror's Haki, and hell, we even got Nami learning new moves. But it seems like Frankie is the only Straw Hat that consistently stays the same. And I don't know why. Well, I do know why, and that's just because One Piece has way too many characters that some characters just have to get put on the back burner. Post time skip, we were seeing so many characters get introduced to us and so many backstories get introduced to us, and even old characters we saw pre-time skip get reintroduced to us, and it just makes sense that characters like Frankie, Jinbei, Brook will just get put in the back burner and really not get that much shine that they used to do in pre-time skip. If you ask a One Piece fan who would they like to currently see more of, Law or Frankie, they would most likely pick Law, because Frankie just got done dirty so much post-time skip, and he got no love throughout the entire post-time skip, and I would rather not see more of him. I used to be a Frankie fan, and now I would like to see more of Law than Frankie, because Frankie now is just that goofy robot that no one wants to see around. The only time you see him is when he's goofy and doing something funny, and they really ruined Frankie's character and his design. Frankie used to be looking more human, like he used to actually look like a cyborg, and he used to be really cool. Now he's just a full-on robot, and I just don't like that. I feel like Frankie just looks clunky, and his whole character design is terrible, and it's not eye-appealing. If we're being honest, most of the Straw Hats get disrespected post-time skip, but I feel like Frankie gets disrespected the most. Like, I cannot remember a single Frankie fight post-time skip except the Senior Pink fight. And the only reason I remember that fight is not because of Frankie, it's because of Senior Pink. I remember that fight because of Senior Pink's devil fruit, because of his backstory, because of the reason why he dressed like a baby. I do not remember that fight because of what Frankie did in the fight. I do not remember that fight because of how Frankie won the fight. I remember that fight because of Senior Pink. And that's not the way it should be. I remember Frankie's fights pre-timeskip. I remember his fights with CP9. I remember everything he used to do. But it seems like nowadays Frankie just doesn't get the love that and shine that most Straw Hats get, like Sanji. He just gets put in the back burner as just another bum. And that makes sense to me because people don't love Frankie the way they love Sanji. Because if we're being honest, more people nowadays want to see more Sanji than Frankie. Sanji's just an overall better character than Frankie is currently. And I know it hurts me to say this because I'm a Frankie fan myself. I used to love Frankie, but Sanji is an overall better character than him. I would love Sanji to get more screen time than Frankie. They just turned Frankie into a joke and they made him forgotten. And I don't like that. And it really hurts to see. And I know most of the Straw Hats got done dirty post time skip, but Frankie was my favorite Straw Hat of all time, so it just hurts to see him get done dirty the most out of everybody, it feels like. But hopefully in the future we do get to see more Frankie as the One Piece story is wrapping up, and as we are getting close to the end, hopefully we do get Frankie more and we get to see him more shine throughout the show. But if you guys did enjoy the video, make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe, and comment down below who your favorite Straw Hat is. But other than that, it's midnight and I'm out. Peace out.